A Glycocalyx sounds like a powerful mythical creature, something you'd want on your side in a battle. That guess would not be too far from the mark. Let's find out why. Part of being healthy is keeping your body from being injured or damaged. There are two main ways to do that. First, avoid dangers that are likely to do damage to your body. Tigers, bad drivers, exposure to deadly viruses, and so on. And second, protect yourself against the dangers of damage to your body that you haven't been able to avoid. Over the past 100 years, a relatively new type of bodily damage has become widespread. One of the so-called diseases of civilization that has increased dramatically as lifestyles have changed in developed countries. It's cardiovascular disease, or CVD, damage that results from reduced or blocked blood flow to the heart, as in a heart attack, the brain, as in a stroke, or another part of the body. In the face of the dramatic rise in CVD, one can't help but wonder, our bodies have had arteries for a very long time. So, wouldn't they have some natural defense against that kind of damage? This is where we meet the Glycocalyx. It's possible that you might already know what Glycocalyx feels like if you've ever gone fishing. When you pull a fish out of the water on your line and try to grab hold of it, it feels slippery or slimy. That slime has a purpose. It reduces the friction between the fish and the water that it swims in. Similarly, the Glycocalyx in your blood vessels reduces the friction between the blood that flows through them and the cells of your inner artery wall, which are called endothelial cells. In your arteries, the endothelial cells are packed together tightly, which keeps particles from getting underneath the endothelium. Otherwise, such particles could accumulate and become swellings, or clots. That's something you definitely want to avoid because, eventually, it could reduce or cut off the flow of blood. In other words, cardiovascular disease. So you want your endothelial cells to stay in position and tightly packed. The problem is that there's a constant force of blood rushing past them. This force is especially strong when the artery is curved or branched. And it's in precisely those places, where the force of blood flow against artery walls is highest, that Glycocalyx is found to be especially thick. That tells us that one of the jobs of the Glycocalyx is to protect endothelial cells from damage due to the force of blood flow. And that would make the Glycocalyx your body's first natural line of defense against cardiovascular disease. This is all backed up by considerable scientific research. But does it help us to understand the increasing rates of cardiovascular disease since the middle of the 20th century? It turns out the answer is yes. A vital clue to the mystery of those rising CVD rates comes from studies of another of the diseases of civilization, diabetes. One tragic symptom of diabetes is damage to blood vessels, which can become so severe that toes, and even feet, must be amputated because they're not getting enough blood. And researchers have discovered a reason for this. The Glycocalyx is apparently destroyed by high levels of blood sugar, and such destruction can apparently occur quite rapidly, over just a few hours. So, if the diet of civilized populations had somehow changed over the past 100 years to result in chronic or acute states of higher blood sugar, that would explain both the increasing rates of diabetes and the increasing rates of CVD in those populations. And of course, that's exactly the change in diet that has occurred, with sugar, corn syrup, and other refined carbohydrates that are rapidly converted to blood sugar, now found in high levels in processed and highly processed food, the kinds of food that have become a big part of the food supply in developed nations. The bottom line is that if you want your Glycocalyx to protect you, then you must protect your Glycocalyx. And that means controlling your consumption of sugars and other refined carbohydrates. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more health tips and insights.